Hello friends, this is Sukhwant Singh. I'm going to share with you a beautiful but tragic poem written by Alfred Noyes, The Highwayman. This poem was first published in 1906. It conveys a sad story of the highwayman who was in love with Bess, and the king's men come and try to put a trap for capturing him, and in the process Bess gives away her life to warn him, and he returns to take revenge, but he himself also gets killed. The poem goes like this. The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, and the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He had a French cocked hat on his forehead, a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of the claret velvet, and breeches of brown doe-skin. They fitted with never a wrinkle. His boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a jewel twinkle, his pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hilt a twinkle under the jeweled sky. Over the cobbles he clattered and clashed in the darkened yard. He tapped with his whip on the shutters, but all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. And dark in the dark old inn yard his stable wicket creaked, where Tim the ostler listened. The conversation that was to go between the highwayman and Bess, Tim the ostler, the horsekeeper, he too was in love with Bess, but it was a one-sided love, and so he was jealous, and he was going to do eavesdropping and listen about the plan of the highwayman. His face was white and peaked. His eyes were hollows of madness, his hair like mouldy hay. But he loved the landlord's daughter, the landlord's red-lipped daughter. Dumb as a dog he listened, and he heard the robber say, "One kiss, my bonny sweetheart, I am after a prize tonight, but I shall be back with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet, if they press me sharply and harry me through the day, then look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight." The highwayman had come to tell Bess that he was after a prize, that is, he was going to loot something, and he said, "I will come the next morning, and if they create problem for me, then look out for me by moonlight. I will come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way. Even if hell is going to bar my way, I shall come." He rose upright in the stirrups. He scarce could reach her hand, but she loosened her hair in the casement. His face burnt like a brand as the black cascade of perfume came tumbling over his breast, and he kissed its waves in the moonlight. Oh, sweet black waves in the moonlight. Then he tugged at his rein in the moonlight and galloped away to the west. He did not come in the dawning. He did not come at noon, and out of the tawny sunset, before the rise of the moon, when the road was the gypsy's ribbon looping the purple moor, a red coat troop came marching, marching, marching. King George's men came marching up to the old inn door. Tim the ostler had done his job of informing King George's men about this robber and about his return to the inn, and the highwayman was not able to return as he had told Bess that he will be coming in the morning, but King George's soldiers or policemen had marched into the inn. They said no word to the landlord. They drank his ale instead, but they gagged his daughter and bound her to the foot of narrow bed. Two of them knelt her at her casement with muskets at their side. There was death at every window and hell at one dark window. They made Bess kneel down and they put two muskets, two guns at the side. And then Alfred Noyes writes and says, there was death at every window, which means the soldiers took each window, and hell at one dark window. Hell because Bess was made to watch through that window. Hence it was hell for Bess, because she knew the moment the highwayman would return, the soldiers will kill him. For Bess could see through her casement the road that he would ride. They had tied her up to attention with many a sniggering jest. They had bound a musket beside her with the muzzle beneath her breast. Now keep good watch. And they kissed her. She heard the doomed man say, look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight. I will come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way. The day had gone off, afternoon had gone off, the highwayman had not come, but his words reminded Bess that he will surely come in the night. She twisted her hands behind her, but all the knots held good. She writhed her hands till her fingers were wet with sweat or blood. They stretched and strained in the darkness, and the hours crawled by like years, till now, on the stroke of midnight, cold on the stroke of midnight, the tip of one finger touched it. The trigger, at least, was hers. She had tried to make free her hands, which were tight, and she wasn't able to do that. And she also realized that her hands were wet, so they were wet with sweat or the blood she wasn't aware of, but she was not bothered. She was successful in reaching her finger, the trigger of the musket, and that is what she wanted. The tip of one finger touched it. The trigger at least was hers. The tip of one finger touched it. She strove no more for the rest. Because if she had tried to do something more, then the soldiers probably would have come to know about her finger reaching the trigger, and they would have taken it back or probably placed it somewhere else. Up she stood up to attention with the muzzle beneath her breast. She would not risk their hearing. She would not strive again, for the road lay bare in the moonlight, blank and bare in the moonlight, and the blood of her veins in the moonlight throbbed to her love's refrain. Tlot, 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 tlot. Had they heard it? The horse hoofs ringing clear. Tlot, 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 tlot in the distance. Now you just see, the soldiers and Bess both were waiting for the highwayman. The soldiers were not able to hear the galloping of the horse, but it came to the ears of Bess because she knew that her highwayman would surely come and the tragedy was waiting for him. Were they deaf that they did not hear? Down the ribbon of moonlight, over the brow of the hill, the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The redcoats looked to their priming. She stood up, straight and still. Tlot, tlot, in the frosty silence. Tlot, tlot, in the echoing night. Nearer he came and nearer. Her face was like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment. She drew one last deep breath. Then her finger moved in the moonlight. Her musket shattered the moonlight, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warned him with her death. He turned, the highwayman, when he heard the gunshot. He turned, he spurred to the west. He did not know who stood bowed, with her head over the musket, drenched with her own blood. From distance he could see someone, a figure, standing near the casement, near the window, with her head bowed down because she had killed herself. But he was not able to make out that it was Bess. Not till the dawn he heard it, and his face grew grey to hear how Bess, the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, had watched for her love in the moonlight and died in darkness there. Back he spurred like a madman. The moment he came to know that it was Bess who was standing next to the casement, he turned around. He could have run away, but he had loved Bess truly. So he turned around, he spurred like a madman, shrieking a curse to the sky, with the white road smoking behind him and his rapier brandished high. Blood red were his spurs in the golden noon, wine red was his velvet coat, when they shot him down on the highway. Down like a dog on the highway, and he lay in his blood on the highway with a bunch of lace at his throat. Both Bess and the highwayman met with their gory death. And the poet Alfred Noyes ends his poem by again narrating that, and still of a winter's night they say, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is a ghostly galleon tossed upon the cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, a highwayman comes riding, riding, riding. A highwayman comes riding up to the old inn door. Over the cobbles he clatters and clangs in the dark inn yard. He taps with his whip on the shutters, but all is locked and barred. He whistles a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. The story or the poem ends in a tragedy with two deaths, and it leaves an impression on the mind of the scene in which both met with their death. Bess dies by triggering the shutter in spite of knowing that the muzzle was at her, pointed towards her breast. She gives her life just to warn the highwayman, her lover, to go away and save his life. The highwayman does go away from there, but the moment he comes to know that it was Bess who had killed herself, he is not able to go away from there. Rather, he returns in spite of knowing the fact that he too will be killed. And he ultimately does get killed by the hands of the soldiers. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. Please share it with your friends. Thank you so much.